New year, new pay-per-view. Will it be the same old WCW nonsense? Well, we shall find out together as World Championship Wrestling presents Sin. The date is January 14th, 2001. We're live from Indianapolis. 6,617 are in attendance with a pretty miserable 80,000 watching at home. We have Tony Schiavone and Scott Hudson on the call, which is a welcome relief to not have to deal with Mark Madden. In our main event tonight sees Scott Steiner defend his world title in a four corners match against Sid Vicious, Jeff Jarrett and a mystery opponent who's been popping up on WCW programming these past few weeks. Will this mystery man's identity be revealed? Well, yeah, but you'll find out who it is a bit later on. We kick off the show with Cruiserweight Champion Chavo Guerrero defending against Sugar Shane Helms. Before the bout, Shane tells his three-count associate Shannon Moore that he wants to do this on his own, and Shannon says, "No sweat, big man." Sugar Shane defeated Shannon to become #1 contender on Nitro a few weeks back, and now Shane wants to prove he can get it done in singles competition by rising to the top of the Cruiserweight division. The two men show off their grappling prowess in the early going, with Shane targeting Chavo's arm with an armbar and then with a hammerlock. A kick to the midsection puts Chavo in control before delivering a few hard chops to the chest, but Shane comes back with a head scissor takedown and he then drops Chavo across his knee from a fireman's carry position. Chavo recovers enough to send Shane to the outside, but when he goes out to the floor, Chavo gets introduced to the guardrail. Back in the ring, the competitors share near falls, but Chavo puts a stop to that with an Alabama slam before delivering a blatant low blow right in front of the referee. The official does nothing because WCW, I guess. Chavo's dropkick gets followed up with some early chin abuse. The fans have already got their money's worth. Shane gets out and the two share some counters before the challenger scores with an atomic drop and a neckbreaker, which leaves both men on the mat. Must say, the crowd are really into this one, and even more so as Shane delivers an X-Plex for another near fall. Helms connects with his sugar smack super kick, but Chavo gets his foot on the ropes. The challenger once again gets dumped over the top to the floor. The champion gets some hang time on his dive to the outside, which wipes out Helms before bringing his opponent back inside the ropes. Chavo looks to hit the brainbuster, but it's countered, and this time it's Guerrero getting sent out to the floor. To prove he too can fly, Shane dives off the top with a big crossbody. It's amazing how those trousers didn't cause any wind resistance considering the size of them, but nevertheless, Shane goes back up top and scores with a sunset flip for a 2 count. Helms calls for the vertebreaker, it gets blocked, so Shane settles for the Nightmare on Helm Street, but Chavo gets a shoulder up before the count of 3. The challenger goes for it again, but this time it's successfully countered and Chavo scores with his brainbuster for the pin and the win. Chavo retains his Cruiserweight title in a fine opener. A real coming out party for Helms, and Chavo really helped him shine. Although, as has been the case with WCW for the longest time now, this is more than likely going to be the high point of the in-ring action here tonight. Earlier today, Mike Tenay caught up with CEO Ric Flair and he asked him about who the mystery man is. Flair said all will be revealed when the time is right and that whoever this guy is, he will rock Steiner's world to the very foundations. My. Mean Gene's backstage with the newly reformed Mama Luke's. He informs us that Johnny the Bull has been barred from ringside by Mike Sanders for this upcoming match between Vito and Reno. Vito says that no matter what happens tonight, he will always wind up on top. Yeah, sure mate, we all totally believe you. This rivalry's been so hard to follow that I'm pretty sure even WCW's given up trying to make it make sense at this point. There's girlfriends who turned out to be sisters, beatdowns on both men by Chronic, but Reno actually paid off Chronic to take out Vito from this. You know what? Who actually cares? I mean, really, who gives any semblance of a shit about all this? The two lads go nose to nose before Vito slaps Reno right in the moosh. Reno immediately floors Vito with a right hand before scoring with a power slam and a follow-up knee drop. To the outside we go, hooray, and Vito gets sent into the guardrail and the ring steps. Back in the ring, Reno keeps controlling the corner, but Vito explodes out of the opposite corner with a clothesline. Reno gets set on the top rope and Vito hits a big superplex for a 2 count. After a backdrop, Vito charges at Reno in the corner, but he gets sidestepped and Vito runs into the ring post before falling to the outside. More ringside shenanigans ensue, which makes me wonder, do countouts no longer exist in WCW? back in the ring, and another clothesline drops Vito. This match hasn't been pretty by any stretch, but I guess it at least feels like a fight between two guys who don't like each other, so that's something I suppose. That being said, there's only so many punches and clubs to the back that you can really watch. We do finally see something different as Vito scores with a desperation mafia kick, and we do see a nice double underhook overhead belly to belly. Try saying that 5 times fast. Before Vito heads up top for the Vito special elbow. It doesn't get the job done, meaning it's not all that special. A roll of the dice gets countered with a Northern Light suplex, but Vito's next attempted suplex gets countered, and Reno does hit his finisher to pick up the victory at Sin. If you like punches and clotheslines, then you'll love this, but for the rest of us, we'll just give this one a miss in the future. Hopefully though, this is the end of this feud and both lads can move on to different opponents. I'm absolutely done with this rivalry. Backstage, Mike Sanders is taking the piss out of Brian Adams, which we have all done at some point, but Mike still hands over a wad of cash to procure his services for tonight. Clark then shows up saying that he received a better offer, so it looks like our boy Mike may well be suffering from a bit of buyer's remorse later on. Up next, we've got an unannounced tag team match as the Young Dragons take on Noble and Courageous. Now, as much as I like these 4 guys, we could have done with leaving this match off the card, to be honest. It'll definitely be one of the better bouts of the evening, no doubt about it, but this was already a bloated card, so it wouldn't have hurt to have left this one off until Nitro. Kaz and Evan kick us off with some slugfestery, and after some counters and reversals, Evan hits the mat hard from a wheelbarrow suplex. Jamie gets taken down with a head scissors and both he and Evan retreat to the floor. Their reprieve doesn't last long as the Dragons connect with stereo Asai moonsaults. Great timing, lads. Back inside, Noble and Yang do some impressive work before yet again heading outside. Kaz gets dropped right on his Hayashis on the top rope, but he's able to counter Evan's attempted superplex, though his attempted crossbody gets countered with a dropkick from Courageous. Some teamwork from Evan and Jamie with a side slam leg drop combo, and Noble comes in with a back suplex and a flying forearm. Jamie and Evan are able to keep Kaz on the back foot, including a nice military press into a spinebuster from Courageous. I wonder if Billy Boy Goldberg was pissed about him stealing his move. Bit of a scary moment as Evan slips when going for a springboard moonsault, but he's able to rotate enough to complete the move. Still missed it though, and that gives Kaz the opportunity to regroup and boot Jamie's head into the 6th row at ringside. Yang finally gets the tag and he gets to wrecking his opponents, including a nasty dragon screw to Jamie and his corner backflip kick to Evan. All 4 men get in for a scrap and Evan wipes out Kaz with a big crossbody to the outside. Yang gets set up on the top rope and Jamie goes for a Hurricane Rana. It gets blocked and Yang scores with a middle row powerbomb for a near fall. Evan takes out Yang with a neckbreaker before hitting a gorgeous 450 splash, but it only gets a 2. And our match comes to a pretty weird end as Yang goes for the Yang time, but it looks like Jamie was a little too close to the ropes and he ends up missing it. So he quickly rolls Jamie up with a small package for the pinfall win. Part of me thinks that the Yang time was supposed to end it, so they had to quickly improvise the roll-up. You can see that Yang looks pretty upset after the bout, but either way, this was a really fun match as you would expect from these boys. I know I said that this match could have been cut, but considering what else is coming up on this show, maybe it was for the best that it was kept on and maybe they should have cut something else, like our next match perhaps. A ridiculous looking automobile enters the arena next, and 2 ridiculous looking fellas get out of it as Totally Buffed have arrived at the building. They're taking on Goldberg and Sarge later tonight with Billy Boy's career on the line, and Lex mentioned something about a plan B, so I wonder will that come into play during the match? I don't know, but my gut says maybe. Up next, Christ alive, it's Mike Sanders versus Ernest the Cat Miller with the WCW Commissionership on the line. How many times in the past 6 months has this Commissioner stipulation been wheeled out? It seems like every other week at this rate. These two had a stinker at Halloween Havoc, so of course it makes sense to run it back on another pay-per-view. Sanders says that being Commissioner pays pretty well, which I doubt, and he has no intention of giving that cash up. He then says that Miss Jones' services are also on the line here. On Thunder, Mike explained that Miss Jones was hired as the Commissioner's assistant, and if Miller loses this match, well, he won't need a Commissioner's assistant anymore. Here comes the Cat and the lovely Miss Jones down to the ring. Ernest says that when he becomes commissioner again, he, along with the people, will take WCW back to the top. Ah, mate, who's gonna tell him, eh? After copious amount of time wasting, Sanders attacks from behind and he takes the early advantage. Do remember, Sanders gave Chronic a load of cash earlier on. Was it for this match or the tag match later on? More importantly, does anyone care? Cat takes Sanders down with a shoulder block and Mr. Above Average rolls to the outside, but he attacks Miller when the Cat looks to follow him back inside. Ernest gets choked out in the corner, but he comes back with some well-placed kicks before laying in some shots in the corner. A Greco-Roman nutshot from the commissioner puts him back in the driver's seat, and he keeps the Cat on the mat with a Cobra clutch. Cat gets to his feet and we see the wiggly elbow and the splits uppercut. Sanders suckers Ernest in, and we go back to the outside where the commissioner grabs a chair. Miss Jones stops him from using it though, and she even kicks Sanders in the back before grabbing the chair and chasing Sanders back into the ring. While the ref's busy with all this nonsense, even more nonsense ensues on the other side of the ring as Stasiak and Jindrak come down and they put the boots to the Cat. But hold the bloody phone, boyos, because here comes Chronic to make the save. Clark puts Sanders on the mat, he stuffs a wad of bills in his gub, and those bills immediately come flying back out again as the Cat scores with the feliner to win the match and regain the commissionership. I mean, yeah, what can you say about this one really? It was short, at least. Half of it was filled with gaga and interference, so it's hard to really rate this one as a match. Does this mean that Chronic are babyfaces now? Will Sanders look to get his revenge? These questions and many more will no doubt get answered in the following weeks on Monday Nitro. Bill Goldberg and Ric Flair look at totally buff arriving at the arena earlier on. Flair relays to Goldberg that their plan B is to probably get Goldberg DQ'd, the scheming bastards. So to counter this, Flair makes the match a no disqualification bout. That way, their plan B will become a non-factor. Flair then asks Bill to sign some jabroni's picture, and I'm sure this gobshite won't factor into the match later on. Nope, not a single bit. Speaking of gobshites, Double J's with Mean Gene, and Jarrett says he's sick of people trying to stir the pot between himself and Scott Steiner. He says he's the only one Steiner can trust in our main event match and that he's here to watch the champions back. Oh goody, here comes Jim Duggan, and he's wearing a referee shirt because it's time for Team Canada to take on the Filthy Animals in a penalty box match. What is a penalty box match, I hear you ask? Well, basically, if you break the rules, you get sent to the penalty box and your team's at a disadvantage. Surely Duggan can't be an impartial official in this match though, what with his history with Team Canada and all. The Canadian coach enters the arena without the graffiti that the Animals defaced it with a few weeks ago on Thunder. Lance says that Team Canada will serve some Canadian justice tonight, and that despite him being in the Animals' pocket, Duggan will be forced to raise the Canadians' hands after this one's over. The anthem gets interrupted as per usual, and here comes the Filthy Animals. Duggan says that this match is one fall to a finish, and the rules include no double teaming, no low blows, no striking the official, and no outside interference. Anyone caught breaking the rules will get sent to the penalty box until the red light on the box goes off. And yep, this is going to be an absolute clusterfuck, isn't it? Ray Jr. and Lance are going to kick us off, and Storm gets taken over with the springboard head scissors, but Mysterio gets his little Ray dropped on the top rope as a receipt. Lance and Duggan have a few words, so Primetime takes the opportunity to lay in a few boots. He gets caught by Hacksaw, and thus he gets sent to the penalty box. Mike Awesome's not a fan of this call, and he accidentally makes contact with Jim when going back to his corner. This is enough for Duggan to send him to the box, and this is some Premier League level refereeing going on here, lads. It's absolutely ridiculous. So Lance is left all alone against the Animals, who use quick tags to keep each other fresh and wear down the Team Canada leader. Conan uses Ray as a weapon on Storm, and hang on, wouldn't that be classed as double teaming, Jim? The light goes off in the box, and both Awesome and Skipper rejoin the match just as Ray scores with his springboard splash. Lance is finally able to make a tag, but Elix doesn't fare particularly well as Kidman keeps control. Awesome involves himself again, and again he gets sent to the penalty box. It's an easy night for Mr. Awesome. Jim then sends Lance to the box for arguing. What the fuck's going on here? Right, so it's back to 3-on-1 as K-Dog comes in with his rolling lariat before tying Skipper up in a submission hold. Ray gets the tag and he drops the dime as the Canadians are released from the box. Matrix escape from Skipper, but he gets dropped with a reverse DDT from Conan. We saw that before on Thunder, but no one else did because no one watches Thunder. Big Mike Awesome gets the tag and he asserts his dominance until he gets taken down with the head scissors. The ladies then have some words on the outside which distracts Duggan, so Ray looks to deliver a Bronco Buster despite not being the legal man. He gets caught by Duggan and both Ray and Kidman go to the box. I understand Ray, but what did Kidman do? This match is falling apart like a flan in a cupboard, or like your last serious relationship. Big Power Slam from Awesome gets a 2 count, while on the outside, Tigris gets a hold of a water bottle and Major Guns gets hosed down, much to the delight of the perverts in Indiana and you degenerates watching at home. The ladies have a scrap before Duggan pulls them apart and puts them both in their respective penalty boxes. This fella's getting a proper eyeful of the Major. What a dirtbag. Springboard leg drop from Skipper before he locks in a devastating chin lock, although probably not the best idea considering it'll run down the clock on your team's advantage. Prime time. The fans chant USA to encourage a dude who was born in Cuba, but it doesn't seem to help as the Canadians stay in control. It should be pointed out that the time guys are spending in their penalty boxes is totally random with no consistency at all. Saying that, the Animals and Major get released as Conan hits the K Factor on Lance before making the tag to Kidman, and Billy runs wild, brother. A bunch of the lads end up on the outside where Awesome looks to cut Kidman's hair. Oh, fuck. Right, okay. Anyway, this gets him put in the box along with Primetime for some reason. Kidman delivers the Kid Crusher, Awesome breaks the count and Mike hits the Awesome Bomb, but he's not legal. Back to the box he goes as Lance pops on the Maple Leaf, and after some confusion, Duggan calls for the bell and Team Canada win this absolute mess of a match. I don't think I even need to say anything. You saw the state of this one and you know how bad it was. What a waste of all these guys' talents. Mike Tenay's backstage with the Natural Born Thrillers and Sean O'Hare's sick Rage Against the Machine shirt. Sanders says the Chronic will get what's coming to them. Palumbo and O'Hare will regain the tag team titles, and Chucky P says that in 5 years' time, the Thrillers will own this business while the Insiders will be nowhere to be found. Sweet naive Chucky. That match will be on the docket later on, but right now it's a 3-way dance for the hardcore title. Terry Funk defends his gold against both Crowbar and Ming. Ming stole the physical belt, but Terry is the reigning champion going into this one. Speaking of the Dirty Funker, he gets some water thrown on him by a fan as he's making his way to the ring. A fan who looks an awful lot like Daphne. She gets dragged over the guardrail, but this distraction allows Crowbar to hit Terry with a cherry and the fight's on. Funk continues to take chair shots at the side of the rampway and the two fight backstage. In a fitting turn of events, the two brawl into the shitters, and what a glorious metaphor this is for the dying days of WCW. Funk attacks with a bin and the trash can goes everywhere, which pisses me off because someone just cleaned that and now you're making them do it all over again. No respect, I tells you. Daphne destroys the ears of anyone watching this show while wearing headphones, and oh, hello Ming, nice of you to join us. More scrappy brawling ensues, and you don't need me to tell you how these matches go. Just bop each other with whatever you can find for about 10 minutes and that'll do. To be fair though, Terry launching this trash can at Ming was pretty great. The Minger then gets a load of tables stacked on him for good measure, and Terry and Crowbar exchange more chair shots. They fight their way to a conveniently placed table, Terry gets put on it, and Crowbar leaps from the bleachers, crashing Funk through the table. Ming and Crowbar then fight up onto the stage. Crowbar counters a suplex on the steel, but he can't get out of the way of Ming's food as he takes a sidekick. Funk comes back into the fight and he whacks Ming with a, and I quote, snow snovel, which seems to set off a dentist drill inside the arena. Is Isaac Yankem about to make a run in here or what? The only way I can explain this is the guys in the truck hit the wrong button when trying to pipe in crowd noise. I don't know. Funk then leans one of the guardrails against another rail. He slams Crowbar through it, bending the barricade in half. Daphne doesn't look too happy about this. More chair shots as we head back down to the ring, where Crowbar tries to Pulmanize Funk's knee with the chair, first stomping on it and then landing on it with a springboard splash. Crowbar screams at Terry to fight back, so the Funker obliges. He gets locked in the figure 4 though, and Ming decides to break it up with a top rope splash before hitting a pile driver on Crowbar. Funk breaks up the follow-up